Hey everybody, this is Bill. I am the salty old Marine. Hey, the topic for today is, can I file again? The answer is yes. Okay, video over. Okay, let's break it down. So, first of all, let's say you submitted a claim for VA disability, and for whatever reason, that claim was denied. I've done that. So, I put in a claim and I was very new at this and I didn't know what to do. And so I submitted a claim. I didn't even realize I had submitted a claim. It was actually done for me by someone else. And I, yeah, I was naive at best. So I put in a claim and it was denied. Why? Because that's all I did. I just submitted the claim. I didn't submit any other information at all. But regardless, that claim was denied. All right, that's bad. Now, what can I do about it? A year after I filed the claim, I got a letter in the mail, and it was a decision letter from the VA, and it said your claim was denied. It said why the claim was denied. There's no evidence. None. Zero. I'm sure the rater was just going, oh my God. This poor guy. He doesn't know a thing. And he was right. So the claim was denied. But what can I do about that? I mean, let's say it was a valid claim. Let's say it should have been approved had I known to submit all the things, right? All the information that's required by the VA for a successful claim, which I did not submit. So what do I do? Is it just done? Am I just over? Am I just game over? Sorry, screwed up. That's that. No. First thing is, assuming that I had in fact submitted evidence and that I was denied anyway. If I feel strongly that the evidence should have gotten me the disability award, I can file what's called a higher level review, or an HLR. An HLR is basically saying, I want you to take a fresh look at the evidence that's already in the system, that's already been considered by a rater. I think a mistake was made, and I want you to look at it with fresh eyes. So somebody called a decision review officer, a DRO, will take a look at that, and they'll make a decision of whether or not a mistake was made and whether or not you should receive that actual VA disability award. So an HLR is one way to go. Another way to go is to file what's called a supplemental. So in a supplemental appeal, you can submit new evidence. So let's go back to my case where I submitted a claim and no evidence whatsoever, just the bare claim. I'm claiming X. That's it. I'm just claiming it. Denied. All right, so let's say that I take a fresh look at that myself and I say, oh, wow, I didn't submit anything. I didn't submit the in-service event that proves that I have X. I didn't submit the current diagnosis that proves that I currently have X. I didn't submit any kind of connection between the two, so something connecting my current diagnosis to my in-service event, a nexus, I didn't submit that. I didn't submit a personal statement explaining the whole thing. I didn't submit any buddy letters from people who witnessed X happening to me and how it affected me. I didn't do any of those things, but I can get them. Okay, supplemental claim. I have a year from the time of that denial to submit that supplemental claim. So I can gather my evidence, put it all together, and resubmit under a supplemental. If I then win my claim, it'll be backdated to the date of the original claim. Now that's a pretty good deal, right? I screwed up, totally messed it up. I can fix it, and it'll go right back to the date where I originally filed without any evidence at all. That's a fantastic deal. Thanks, VA. Seriously, I'm not being facetious at all. So you get a deal, you get a do-over, right? That's fantastic. And you get a year to do the do-over. You can also file an appeal to what's called the Board of Veteran Appeals, the BVA. Now, that takes a really long time to process, and to be honest, probably only best used for something like a last-ditch effort when you've exhausted all your other appeals. I'm going to leave that out for right now. So let's take it a step further, because I did. I'm using myself as a bad example. Let's say you filed with no evidence whatsoever. You got denied. And then you let that year run out. Yeah, it's gone. Sorry. I guess I'm hosed now? No, I am not hosed now. In fact, I'll never be hosed as long as I'm still alive. I can still file a supplemental claim for that original denial. However, because I waited more than a year from the date of the denial, it won't get backdated. Fair enough. So if I submit a supplemental with new and cogent information, and the VA accepts that as a supplemental, then that claim will be reopened, re-adjudicated, and hopefully the decision will be in my favor. It's just that it won't be post-dated back to the date that I originally filed because I waited more than the 1 year window, right? But I can still do it. And then ultimately, if I don't go that route, I can just file a brand new claim. There's actually no limit on how many times I can file a claim for the same thing. So I can start all over again. I submitted for X with no evidence. It got denied. And by the way, it should have gotten denied. There was no evidence. I waited past the 1 year window from the date of the denial and didn't do a thing. So what can I do now? I can either file a supplemental with new information. They may or may not accept that, but if they do accept that, then it will go back through the process again. It won't get backdated. It'll just go back to the date that I filed the supplemental. Or I can file it as a brand new claim. And again, brand new claims start on the day of the claim, or intent to file if you have an intent to file already opened. So lots of things you can do. Short answer is you can always file for the same claim, even if it was denied. That's not a problem. Now, if it was denied the first time and you haven't really updated it or changed any information, you can probably expect a denial a second time and a third time and however many times. Doing the same thing over and over again is probably not the best way to get what you want. However, if you, like me, made some mistakes and now you've corrected those mistakes and you have the information you need, submit your claim, my friend. There's no reason you should not. I hope you found this useful. I'm Bill. I am the Salty Old Marine. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me about your denials and what did you do about it. And we'll talk about that. And as always, have a great day.